Hey, in this part I will set up making the blocks slide. More precisely, making the columns of blocks slide. This is how I want it to work in this little demonstration here. So currently I have the block set up to fall, but what I want to happen is when there's an empty space in a column here, I want the blocks to always slide towards the middle of my grid or my play area. So if they're on the right, they slide towards the left. If they're on the left, they slide towards the right, like so. Okay, and just like how quickly the blocks drop, and I can control that speed, I want to be able to do that with how quickly the columns of blocks slide, like so. See, I've slowed it down just so you can see better what's happening here. And I don't want any columns of blocks sliding until any blocks that need to fall have already fallen. Okay, like that. So that's what I will be doing. Okay, and in order to do that, I've created a couple new objects here. Horizon check is what I'll be using in the same manner I used detection for the grid block to create the down movers. I'll be using this to create right movers, or these horizon movers, which will actually move the columns of blocks over. I added a couple values and stuff to these, but I'll show you them as I go. Most important thing is the hotspot of this horizon mover and the directions. I got a right direction, that's for the right side of my frame, and I got a left direction, which would be for the left side of my play area. And the hotspot has to be at the top because I'm going to be scaling this object. Same thing with the right mover. I got one for the right side. These will move all the blocks to the left. And I got one for the left side. This will move all the blocks to the right. Again, the hotspot has to be at the top on both of them. But, oh, this is so that I can scale these too. Alright, I've already created all the vents, so it's just a matter of me clicking the undo here, and then I'll explain them as I go. So, before I do that, I'll show you what it should look like. Okay, this is what I want it to look like when it's done. I want to create that horizon mover or check object, and on the right side it'll be facing this direction, so from the center out towards the right, and then on the side from the center out towards the left. It should look like this, but I don't need one on the very end of the grid, the way I have it set up. Okay, so that's what I want it to look like. In order to do that, I need to create a new group of events. I call it setup the slider, but it's in between the border and create the blocks, so I had to change this this one right here. Activate group, set up sliders. It used to say activate group, create the blocks, but this has to come before that. Okay. First event I'm going to do for each loop again for the grid object, and when I created my borders, I set up alt values right here, top border, left border, bottom, all that. For each one, I set up the value to equal 1. So in other words, all these on the top, these values will equal 1 in the top border. Right border, these will all equal 1. Bottom, same thing, so on and so forth. That's how that works. So I can use that to my advantage. So I'll start the loop. And this is quite a bit here. So what happens is this event saying it's like on the loop, if bottom border, which is this one here, equals 1, which it will, and the same grid object if the corner border equals 0, which these ones do, and if the grid object is, all this is saying is if it's equal to or greater than half the width of whatever size your grid is. Okay, we want to create the object, and we set bottom border back to 0 so it doesn't keep creating more, and we set the direction to the right. We'll set its position at the top of the border here, and we set its scale to the global value, grid Y, so that scales it down. So what it's doing, like if I was to take out, I can't do this. If I was to take out this, it would position it at the bottom here, and it wouldn't, and before I scale it. I know it does make sense. Okay, next one, same thing, but this one's for the right, so if the X position is lower than half of whatever your grid is, then it creates the one on the left, and it scales it and sizes it. Alright, and then just a matter of closing out this group once it's all done and activating the blocks, which is what happens. But they're still not sliding. So let's get them to slide, shall we? Okay. Okay, to get them to slide, go down to our core engine, and basically I'm going to be doing the same thing I did here, but for this object instead of the grid object. Okay, so create a new group called slide to blocks. Start a for each loop for that, call it slide, and this group of events is pretty much the same as this one. So if what am I doing here? If one of these is not overlapping a block, like this yellow one here, then all these blocks to the right of it should slide this way. But we haven't set the event up to slide it yet. But you can see it creates some movers. Okay. And then the next event, next two events actually, are the same as this one right here. This one drops the blocks, these two slide the box. If a block is overlapping a right mover, so on the right side of the grid, it'll slide the blocks to the left, and same thing for the opposite side. If block is overlapping the right mover on the left side, it'll move the blocks to the right, and it should work the way I have it right now. Let's see. Yeah, see, the blocks are sliding towards the right, and the blocks are sliding towards the left. But these are still here. We need to get rid of those. And the next two events do that, which are the same as this one and this one. But I used an alt value that I put in here called slide loop count to keep track of it. And then it destroys them. So they shouldn't be showing up anymore. There. And so on and so forth. And I added restrict actions for slide speed, which is the global value, slide speed. So if I put that to 100 and then try it, the column of blocks should slide slower. Alright. Okay. And next event. So when there's no more of these overlapping the block, deactivate this group and activate this group, because this group has been deactivated. And I think I can get rid of this now. Let's try it out. Yeah, see them sliding over now. And they shouldn't slide if any are dropping. And that's pretty much it. Quick, I know. I don't think there is anything else. I'll save the next bit for the next video. Okay, so I'm already at 10 minutes. Quick, I know, but it'll all come together. See you soon.